Off the Hook, airing on offthehooksports.com, your home for real news, real opinions, and what really matters about Tennessee athletics. The Off the Hook podcast at offthehooksports.com or Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, or wherever you go for your favorite podcasts. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Play, TuneIn, iHeart. Like, share, follow, subscribe. Off the Hook with Dave Hooker starts now.
Oh, we're up and rolling and a huge show on tap that we're excited to bring you today. So go ahead and get on board. We'll visit with Jabari Davis, and we'll also visit with several of the players that were at the Big Orange Phillies big shindig yesterday, and we had a really, really good time. So hope you were able to enjoy it. And if you didn't, get down to Big Orange Phillies because it's a whole lot of fun. You will enjoy it. So Amanda LaFrada will join us shortly, but here is our interview with Jabari Davis. By the way, Jabari Davis at Big Orange Phillies, and it was a really, really fantastic time. Big Orange Phillies is your home. That is right. Your home to be able to go hang out with your family, watch sports in a family fun environment. That's Big Orange Phillies. Here's Jabari Davis as he visited with us yesterday at Big Orange Phillies in the heart of Maynardville. It's very easy to find, heart of Halls, I should say, close to Maynardville and close to North Knoxville. Here is Jabari Davis. It is Jabari Davis. Man, this guy's back in the day. He's still donning the orange, and I covered him a long time ago.
Yes, you did.
Yes, we're both pushing about, 28, 29 years old right now, Jabari, is that right?
I feel 60.
Yeah.
But I just turned 39, so.
All right, well, happy birthday.
Thank you, man. You know, times have changed, man. You look at back in the day, what you can do, how you can move, how you wake up in the morning, how you lay down at night. Some of those muscles don't work the same way. You just realize, man, you're officially old. Look in the mirror, see a few grays, kids wearing me out. So I'm a father of 5, so you can imagine that puts 10 extra years on your life, man. Stresses you a lot, stresses you out a lot. But I'm making it, man.
Yeah, wait till you get to start paying for college when they're 19 and 17.
Wow.
That's fun.
I'll be there soon. I got a son at 16,
right.
So he'll be a senior next year. So I'll be going through my college experience with him.
We're at Big Orange Phillies. I want to talk about what you're doing because it's really cool in terms of former players or current players, I should say, being able to get out in the community, make a little cash. I want you guys should be able to be a linebacker before we jumped on the air here about the mental wellness, the mental health aspect of what you're doing, and he's involved in counseling. I just thought that was super cool. Can you tell me more about that?
Yes, well, we have a program called Started over the summer, and the Huddle is a mental health and mental wholeness and awareness organization that we're going to be bringing to a lot of schools, having former players, that played at UT that are currently in that type of field, speaking to kids, teach them how to cope with depression, anxiety, suicide, bullying, and things of that nature. And the reason we call it the Huddle is because, anytime your brothers or your sisters are needing any help, you want to huddle up with a great support system that can help guide them, and so they can be successful and be able to treat them and speak to them and breathe life to them. Just let them know it's okay. And if you're not feeling okay, hey, we didn't feel okay either, but we got some help. And the Huddle stands for having undeniable dedication, discipline, leadership every day. So with us having football backgrounds, we wanted to do something that was powerful, and a strong moment in sports is when you huddle up with your team, because everybody's looking each other in the eye and saying, hey, we can put some points on the board. We can win the game. We have to get our mind focused. We got to get locked in on assignment. We got to be tough. We got to be strong. And that's the same way when it comes to mental health, and that's the same way you have to attack it.
Yeah, Jabari Davis joining us now, former Tennessee running back. And I want to get to Amanda. It is kind of interesting how you get to know these guys years later, and John Poe is another person that we'll hear from before the end of the program. Amanda LaFrada with us. And John Poe, here's a guy that was kind of a reserve linebacker, Amanda, that, kind of flew under the radar a little bit, wasn't a superstar by any stretch of the imagination, but stayed out of trouble. I mean, everything was good, but here he is giving back to mental health years later. And I wouldn't have tabbed him to think he would do that, but good for him. It's 2022. It's being looked at much, much differently than it was when he was in the mid 2000s. And he and I were working alongside each other. I think we got a little issue with your. I think we need to bring you up, so we're going to get your mic up. There you go.
Okay, I said thank God for that, because mental health has not exactly been the best or the most focused on thing, and it's a thing that a lot of people struggle with. I mean, I think everyone I know at some point in their lives has struggled with their, and I don't think it's really mental health. It's kind of emotional health is, I think, a better term, more accurate.
Probably. And I think it's been exacerbated too by, COVID. No lightning strike of intelligence there, but let's face it, we're all stuck at home for a long time, and I've seen people firsthand that it had negative consequences on. So it's not like it's just the flavor of the month thing that, the media tends to jump on. This is something that I believe, I don't want to get on a political soapbox here because Amanda would destroy me on that. But I believe, maybe this is politics, maybe it's not. This is an opportunity for us to be even better as a country, for us to address those mental health issues that maybe 3 years ago, just pick it up. Pull yourself up by the bootstraps. I think COVID has shown us that, there's some people struggling out there, and they are sick just like if you had a broken foot. Same thing. So, by the way, our guy Chris Landry has a broken foot, so he's gimping around right now. He's going to join us a little bit later in the program to break down the SEC season, the Tennessee season, and more. That interview with Jabari Small brought to you in part by Vols Automotive Group. Their mission is to be the automotive home of drivers in the Knoxville, Tennessee area. They provide a vast selection of used vehicles, exceptional car care, and car service with a smile. That's a local dealership that keeps a great stock of used car trucks and SUVs right there. So go ahead and prepare yourself, because Chris Landry will join us here momentarily. Also, some more comments from the event of Big Orange Phillies yesterday. And then Amanda LaFrada will get to the down and dirty at 30 a little bit late, but we can get to that right now as far as what's happening in the world of sports. So since we last spoke, the Big Ten television contract came out. I believe it came out right after we spoke about it. What were your thoughts about $1.2 billion per year? It is a lot of money. I do have something coming out on that I wrote later on offthehooksports.com, but it is a staggering amount of money. To give people some perspective, the SEC is making about $350 million annually right now. Now, it's kind of like NFL quarterbacks. One's going to get $1 more and $1 more, probably. But nevertheless, $350 million to 1.2 is a big, big jump.
It is. And I don't think ESPN had that kind of money to go after the Big Ten and the SEC at the same time.
Right.
So I think that they pocketed their resources, waited for this to play out with the Big Ten, and didn't give as much of a battle with it as maybe they would have done 20 years ago or however long, when they were just top of the ranks. But I think that it was smart of them, ESPN. It was smart of them to wait for the SEC, because
for the Big Ten.
No, ESPN.
Oh, it's smart of ESPN to wait for the Big Ten.
To wait for to go for the SEC and wait on that.
I agree. Yeah.
Yes, it was smart of them, because I think it'll eventually pay off dividends. It'll save ESPN's entire network. I think if you throw all of your resources at the SEC, that's going to save your network versus trying to counterbalance both of them. So
yeah, the days are gone where they're going to carry the best Big Ten game, the best SEC game, and the best Pac-12 game. I mean, those are long gone 10, 15 years ago. So I don't see that going back. I find it interesting the way you propose that, and that is wait and see what the Big Ten does. Yeah, I was told that this television contract was going to come as early as Memorial Day, way back in the beginning of the summer. But the reason it didn't is because they wanted to lock in the they wanted to lock in that LA market with UCLA and USC. Uh, I still, though, man, I go back to the philosophical difference is yes, you get the number 2 TV in the market. And I know analytically you can say X million of people watched UCLA and USC. I just don't. I go back to this. I don't know that the passion is there when USC and UCLA aren't good, which has happened. Does that fade away? Do potential NIL people want to be associated with UCLA and USC? I don't know.
I mean, the money's there. It's definitely there. And if you want to bring the biggest celebrity in, then that's a good place to be. It's just the UCLA and USC markets are head to head with the Lakers and, the Rams and the Chargers and the 49ers. And I mean, it's a professional atmosphere in California. It just is, especially Los Angeles. It's just a professional atmosphere, and college goes to the wayside. It doesn't matter if it's USC, UCLA, I mean, Cal, it doesn't matter. No one cares unless you're really, really good. So
Please like and subscribe. Amanda and I were going through some of the analytics recently, and only about 80% of the people out there actually have subscribed to the channel. So we want you to do that, and we bring you all kinds of good stuff, like with Chris Landry, with In the Huddle, with Dave and Amanda, where we get to further break down some topics. It's a whole lot of fun. So please hit that subscribe and like button. It helps us show up on your YouTube feed a little bit easier. And we will be here every morning at 8:30. And Amanda LaFrada, a great place to go this afternoon would be Zool Beer Company. Zool Beer Company is worldwide award-winning beer, and I love the big panoramic view. It is a gorgeous, awesome, chill place to hang out. That's Zool Beer Company, the official craft beer of Off the Hook Sports.
yeah, it's wonderful beer. I was actually just there yesterday and had Tiny Umbrellas, which is one of my favorite sours ever. But it's really good. We have a lot of different sours, a lot of different IPAs, and like Dave said, award-winning for IPA best one in the world. So
Yep, it is that good. And they've got ice cream on. Is that on occasion or all the time ice cream?
No, it's all the time, and it's boozy ice cream. It's not. A lot of people come up and be like, "Oh, you have ice cream? I'm gonna get one for my 5-year-old," and we're like, "No, you can't."
Well, it depends if your child has tooth pain or not. I've been in situations where that's
No, that's
It's time for today's tough questions, brought to you by the Mattress Place. The Mattress Place is where you need to be if you need a mattress. It is 30 to 70% off every day. No gimmicks. That's right. And it's an A+ accredited member of the Better Business Bureau. Over 225 5-star reviews. They will love it. It's time for today's tough question. Where will Amanda take us? I'm scared. She has that vixeny mean look this morning. So today's tough question.
We do our research. Have you done your research?
We're working like heck.
Today's tough question. What's the real debate?
You sipping my soupe, Guadalupe?
Exclusively on Off the Hook Sports with Dave Hooker and Amanda LaFrada.
You drinking my sake, kimosabi?
Oh my God.
Alrighty, Amanda LaFrada, where are we for today's tough question today?
so. Big Ten contract was, you said, $1.2 billion, correct?
That's what's been estimated. Yes, we believe it's
Okay.
$2
Okay. So, with that being said, how much do you think the ESPN and SEC contract will be?
I think it'll be $1.2 billion a year.
Do you think it'll be exactly the same?
Well, 1.21 a dollar. I think they'll go
So
slightly above.
I'm gonna do less, more, or same.
Okay.
The three options.
Oh, by the way, we get a lot of messages from those listening, and we like to pull some out on occasion. Michael says, "Good morning from the beautiful Paris Island, down here to watch my son graduate from the Marines." Well, that's pretty awesome. And thank you very much, sir, for his service. That is super, super cool. Wow. How long do you think I'd make it through Marine boot camp, Amanda? I've got the over under at 36 and a half hours. I don't think I'd make it long.
I think there's a glitch.
A glitch with me making it in Marines?
No, with our connection. I didn't hear you.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Do you think, how long do you
No,
think?
I heard you. I'm
Okay.
kidding. I just not answering.
Amanda's too quick for me. 36 and a half hours. I did have a friend who went to the armed services, and the very first day he overslept, and the guy he missed the entire run the first day, the first 5 mile run. And the guy came to me, he goes, "Congratulations, Private." And he goes, "I'm so sorry. What? I missed the run. I overslept." He goes, "You just got 2 more weeks of basic." So they added 2 weeks onto the back end of his basic. And it was two friends. And the one friend told me that he's never seen any of us in our little circle of friends cry as hard as that man cried right then. No,
Yeah, I imagine.
6 weeks just went to 8 weeks. You'll be flying around in no time with Pettigo Chattanooga, locally owned store where you'll be treated like family. As the region's foremost electric bike experts, they put the hearts into helping you find the perfect electric bike and get the most out of that for many years to come. Amanda Lafrada, so today's tough question. Where do you stand on that? I'm more curious where you stand on that.
I think they'll end up paying more than that because I think they'll have to realize that the SEC is a bigger product, honestly.
Yeah, and let me can we kind of reset where you stand on the whole television networks deal, because we got to a point where you and I agree at this point that the SEC is a better product, but we kind of disagreed on the better carrier a little bit. At least I think we did. So just I would go with ESPN. It's something I'm going to write about this afternoon. I would go with ESPN just based off pure promotion. My argument's pretty simple. May not be right, but it's pretty simple. You like the trajectory of Fox and what they're doing, right?
Yeah, I like the trajectory of Fox. I think that they saw a need to challenge I feel like ESPN kind of had a monopoly on things, and they saw the need to challenge that when ESPN got really political, and they did, and I think they're putting out a better product and keeping at least a lot of the politics out of it. So that I feel the less political that we get, because of course not everyone's going to side with everyone else, but the less political you make sports, the better off you are.
It was almost like we had to make them political twice in my lifetime. One was not, you had to, because they interfered. One was 9/11, one was COVID, because they interfered with the game. But other than that, I'm with you. I don't need politics in my games. I don't need to know if Vern Lundquist voted on Republican or Democrat. I don't care. Does that sound awful? You're a political junkie. Does that sound like I'm apathetic? I don't mean to be apathetic. I just mean to be, this is supposed to be the escape.
That's not. And that's, a lot of people have been saying that for years, is that stop bringing political issues into sports. Sports are sports. Leave sports alone. Sports are the thing we use to get away from these kind of issues. Bringing it not everything has to be political. Not everything has to be saturated with some kind of back and forth where everybody hates everybody else. Sports has that already. There's rivalries in sports. There's a reason why, sports are as fun as they are. You don't need to add a whole layer. We're already divided by teams. Like we already are. Tennessee fans hate Alabama fans hate Auburn fans. I mean, everybody, but it comes to a line. Like there's a line where after sports you realize it's just sports. Stop bringing things like politics into that, because then that leaves the whole fantasy land of sports that meshes it all together, and we don't need that. Sports is the escape.
I couldn't have said it better myself. Tennessee with a very light day at practice today. They'll be back on the practice field tomorrow, and then Tennessee will kind of start up game week as of Friday. So Friday will be their Sunday because the game is on Thursday. So what we would think, based off previous ways that Tennessee has dealt with the media, we would think interviews would start right along Sunday or so, or maybe even Saturday, which would be the Monday and Tuesday of a game week. So it's a little confusing, but Tennessee with a Thursday night game, and they've already been on this schedule. And we will hear from such Vols as how about Jacob Warren, scheduled to visit with him this afternoon, and Cooper May. So that'll be on offthehooksports.com. But this is the time, and I saw that somebody had said Jacob Warren a little banged up, so they're being careful with him in practice. And just like totally on a personal level, I just said, hey, you all right? I'm not sitting a journalist texting, I'm just calling as a buddy, and he said he's fine. So a lot of the times this time of year, if you've got one little bitty minor tweak, it's good to hold you out of what you're doing for the remainder of the time until you can get to fall camp. So that's pretty common, not unusual. Do you think at any point, Amanda, Fox, CBS, and all of that, and having that fantastic distribution model, which they have, can ever rival the SEC, or at its core, is that the better product and that's the difference? Is it as simple as that?
It's as simple as that. The SEC is the better product, and that's going to be the difference. And, now we'll see if, I don't know, can Fox and CBS go after the SEC as well? I mean, do they have the capital to do that?
Gosh.
Or is it one or the other? Because if Fox and CBS can go after the SEC as well, then that's going to be.
Well, then we're talking about something completely different. I mean, that could happen, I guess. If I'm ESPN, the last thing I'm letting go of is the SEC, right?
Well, obviously you have nothing else. Like, what are you going to cover? The NBA?
Yeah, they have, and they don't even. Well, they have ABC with that, and then they're doing NASCAR again, right? And then they're partially.
Fox has NASCAR.
Fox has NASCAR. Okay, so they're not doing the. I mean, what are they primarily covering other than the NFL and SEC football?
This is why I think ESPN is in trouble.
Bear wrestling like back in the 80s?
I don't know, but this is why I feel like ESPN is in trouble.
People have been saying that for a while. I think Clay Travis was one of the first to say that. Why do you think they're in trouble?
If you look at,
I'm not arguing with you. I'm just
curious. No, you're fine. Look at everything. Well, their product has gone down substantially. There's been a lot of layoffs at ESPN. They've cut their staff like pretty decent amount of staff. And I understand that it's COVID and I get all of that, but like they cut a bunch of writers. I mean, they're constantly making cuts. And if you look at their networks and how well they're doing as far as viewership, it's down. They're down.
I agree with that. I've seen the numbers. I do think there is also a splintering of the offense or of the audience. I'm not one to throw dirt on ESPN yet because of viewing habits. I think that I sit down if I want to know what's going on in sports. I don't consider ABC, NBC, or CBS like maybe I would 20 years ago with the news. Those were the three options. I either liked Peter Jennings that particular day or I didn't, and I went to Connie Chung or whatever the case may be. But now, do we not just sit down and we turn on ESPN because we're so ingrained and that's what we do? I mean, do you even go anywhere? I'm asking you. You're younger, more hip than me. Do you go anywhere else for sports coverage?
Honestly, I just go to Twitter or YouTube.
Well, I do too.
That's where I go and get sports news. I don't even turn on ESPN anymore. Like I never do. I used to. That used to be the background of everything I did was I just had ESPN on and Sports Center would play and play and play and play and play. But honestly, with people getting rid of cable, and I mean that's a lot of people going to just like streaming services and stuff like that. I think a lot of the people's news are here, like right here. If you're a Tennessee fan and you want the latest news on Tennessee, you're going to go to a show that is solely based Tennessee. So you come here to get your news, but also we cover other things. So you would come to a place like this, like a podcast or whatever, and you can get whatever you want to know. You can go solely to that part, and then you don't have to watch everything else.
Yeah. And by the way, I should have mentioned earlier, Bru McCoy. I know there was a podcast website that did the Bru McCoy update. It worked and tried to frame it as he was cleared. I know a lot of people got confused over the weekend. He has not been cleared. Now, the question is, Southern California, have they released him and done all the proper paperwork? So through Outkick.com, and suddenly his name escapes me, I apologize, but Outkick.com did reach out to Southern California. They got the paperwork and the statement that said they had done everything and they wish Bru nothing but the best. And that all sounds good, but that doesn't mean they didn't drag their feet a month ago when things were getting there. I mean, maybe it's all good now because it kind of has to be because the light's been shined on you, but I don't know that it was all copacetic beforehand. So we'll
I think
see.
we'll find out soon enough.
Yeah, like if it pops in the next couple of days, it's pretty obvious that Southern Cal.
Y'all are doing it. Yep. Y'all are the problem.
Football in the South's kind of important. And
it's, what's sad about that is that it's not even sad. Maybe he deserves it. But Lincoln Riley's whole, his whole reputation is just going to tank even worse. I mean, it tanked when he left Oklahoma. It's going to tank worse if it's in fact been USC sitting on their hands, not giving the paperwork.
You know what's so funny too is Lincoln Riley is he happy that they're in the Big Ten? I mean,
No.
I did he have any idea when he got hired to do that?
No, I don't. I mean, I think he had to have an idea. I mean, he knew Oklahoma was going to, somebody at USC had to be like, guess what? We're going to be in the Big Ten. Like, it's going to happen. Because those talks have been in the works for a while. Like, they've been in the works for a while from the higher ups. So somebody had to be like, you know what? We're going to be in the Big Ten. Come coach with us. Would you rather coach in the Big Ten or would you rather coach in the SEC?
Wow. Okay. I want to address that. That's very good. I want to address that after this. For over 50 years, City Heating and Air Conditioning has provided East Tennesseans with honest, dependable heating and cooling service. That is City Heating and Air Conditioning, cityheatandair.com. Chris Landry to join us next. And please hit that subscribe and like button. So we would certainly appreciate that. And Joe saying, do you all think Apple or Amazon could go after SEC football too?
Yep, it will happen.
Yeah, I mean, I think that all bets are off right now. I don't think there might be a company right now being formed in a garage somewhere that might make a bid in 10 years.
In the garage.
I mean,
No.
I'm only half kidding. I mean, there might be a company being put together in a garage right now That
I
is
mean,
a bid in 10 years at the SEC.
they're going to have to take down Amazon Prime. I mean, they are. Amazon is honestly, Apple rules the world when it comes to like computers and technology as far as that goes, like at home. But Amazon rules the world. I mean, they just do. And I mean, I could see Amazon going after SEC football. If that would be big. If they made a bidding war for SEC football and took it from ESPN, that would crumble ESPN. ESPN would be done.
Well, they've done it with the NFL. So
I know.
Yeah, I don't think it's outside the realm. I don't think you're talking about science fiction at all. Chris Landry of Landry Football to join us next, back in 2 minutes. Tell us about Big Orange Phillies, Mr. Viles. Be sure and hit that subscribe button now.
Gary Viles here. I want to personally invite you to North Knoxville's newest sports bar and restaurant. It's Big Orange Phillies, located in Black Oak Center. And yes, folks, it's happening in Halls. Big Orange Phillies offers family-friendly environment with homemade meals and the best deli-style subs around. Billiards, darts, jukebox, shuffleboard, and cornhole, and a full bar. We also offer valet parking on weekends and during special events. We even have a covered back patio. It's happening at Big Orange Phillies. We want, we need, and we appreciate your business.
Hi, Mike Davis here with City Heating and Air, reminding you to always dare to compare. Our team provides quality local heating and air service, installation, and maintenance across East Tennessee. We use only the best equipment like American Standard heating and air conditioning for your residential, new construction, or commercial needs. Honesty, dependability, and customer satisfaction have been the cornerstones of our business since 1961. City Heat and Air.
Dare to compare.
This is Al's Dish Barbecue Supply, so come on in and see all the different rubs and sauces we have, plus a complete line of Green Mountain grills. Don't be overwhelmed. We have plenty of help so you can produce the best barbecue and amaze your family and friends. Barbecue is America's food. We'll do what we can to bring you all the best products. We're Al's Nest Barbecue, but Chattanooga goes to grill.
Do you want to own the more that owns every job? Then get to Vassy Lawn and Garden in Cleveland and get you a Toro. I'm David Vassy, here to talk to you about Toro. With a Toro Zero Turn, you'll get more out of every minute and you'll reach the finish line faster. At Vassy's, we like to say, no matter if you're mowing 3 acres a week or 11 lawns a day, homeowners and business owners alike find confidence in equipment they can trust from top to bottom.
Vassy Lawn and Garden, Highway 60 North in Cleveland.
Man alive, it's worth the drive.
So Chris Landry will join us here momentarily. If you can kind of look back, Amanda, at how the how Amazon got the NFL, because if I would have told you that years ago, you would have thought that was pretty crazy. It's pretty insane. By the way, we're going to mention Lynn J. Dixon is no longer a Vol, so that's a stunner. Who would have ever seen that one coming?
Was he really hurt is my question.
I hope the young man wasn't hurt, but I just know that.
But did he have an injury report?
Well, he had this decent career at Clemson, and Dabo Sweeney said he needed to grow up, and so then he goes to West Virginia, and he lasts one semester, which that's longer than I would have lasted in Morgantown. But it just seemed like the lack of conviction would undermine him at some point. Is that a safe, fair way to put that, Amanda?
This is for a whole day, but like a whole nother day. But it's, at when it comes down to it, we've had a lot of these people and these players that have, gone elsewhere and drop out, basically fail, do stuff that is stupid, and they keep doing stupid stuff, and everyone's going, why are they doing stupid stuff? They're ruining their entire lives. Well, it's because since they were 11 years old, everyone told them that they were gifts from God and that they could do no wrong. So how do we not expect these kids to grow up and get to 19 and 20 and making stupid decisions? Everybody is, how did they get there? because they have a Twitter account announcing that they're going to be announcing their top 4 teams, and everyone and their moms on there going, love, come to here. You're the best thing I've ever seen in football, blah, 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 blah. Like that's the point. Like here we are. We have like done this to ourselves.
When and if Amanda has children, it's either going to be you're the most overrated quarterback in the league, or she's going to go the other direction. And all the things she just said, because I've seen it happen with moms, is going to fall by the wayside. And you're going to be like, you're the best quarterback. That Joe Montana's got nothing on you. That's
my kid will not play football. The end.
Well, that may not be
not happening.
Chris Landry joins us now of LandryFootball.com. And Chris, we appreciate the time. He's brought to you in part by Craft Treats. Craft Treats is a full spectrum CBD treat that contains minor cannabinoids that increase the benefits of CBD for situational anxiety. It is awesome. Things like storm anxiety and car ride anxiety. Chris, how are you, sir? I think it's game week of college football, right? Doesn't Hawaii have some tryst out west or something?
It is. It's actually with Vanderbilt, so that'll be interesting. I am particularly intrigued by Nebraska and Northwestern. It's in Ireland, but it's going to be interesting to see if Scott Frost can get off to a good start or not. So yeah, it's as they call it, week 0 week.
Yes. And I said this going back to when high school had week 0. They need to do something about that name. It doesn't exactly endear itself to great viewership. Have you ever heard about college football wanting to spread its footprint? I mean, we heard about this more with the NBA. We've heard about it with the NFL and the fact that they would love a team in London, I think. But it seems like college football pretty much knows its niche, but you do have the game in Ireland. Is there much growth you can do worldwide in terms of college football, or is what it is?
I don't know. I don't think that it is. I think I'm not quite sure. Like in the NFL, there's gradual growth and popularity in other countries on football, but they can relate to certain names in teams. It's so different. Football, American football is so uniquely American. But college football, I don't know, and I haven't heard about studies of how many people living in Ireland or England or whatever in Asia that are alumni of Nebraska or whatever. I don't know that it'll ever pick. I mean, you don't even get people in Canada that really understand college football. I mean, they tend to know like maybe Michigan or someplace that's close to them, but it's just not a thing. So I don't see that it growing internationally, no, but I'm not an expert on that. That's for sure.
So I have a question about something that happened in the Bengals game. I don't know if you've seen this. I'm sure you have. That hit on that poor little Giants running back. What do you think about that? How do you go about policing stuff like that? It looked intentional, and I'm not going to lie, and Tennessee fans are not going to like this, but the hit that, what was his name? Went to USC, really good running back, got knocked in the knee by a guy named Eric Gordon for Tennessee.
We're talking about Southern Cal?
No, I said South Carolina.
I think she said
you're talking about
Yes.
Great kid, and he's coming back to coach and work with the program. Yeah, he played for Steve. Yeah, I know. I see him. I talked to him. I'm embarrassed. My senior moment. Get the name out. Great play. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Well, here's my view on. Look, people.
Marcus Lattimore.
Marcus, I'm sorry, Marcus. Gosh almighty, I hope he doesn't listen to this. I mean, I hope he listens to the show, but it's like, gosh, he forgot my name, Marcus. Yeah, Marcus Lattimore, great player. And look, here's the thing about it. People will say, well, football is is a violent game. You can't police it. Well, here's what we've been trying to do for years. And I think it's a result of, you go back in the old days, football has evolved. It was more violent back then, and they celebrated the violence. The NFL did, and woo, look at that hit, boom. But, we had rules changed because it was so violent. Mel Blount, who I remember, Amanda, you probably heard the name. You're too young to remember Mel Blount, but they called it a Mel Blount rule. Mel Blount was a corner for the Steelers. He played at Southern University back in the day. And back then, you could jam a receiver off the line of scrimmage. He would jam the guy out of bounds. And, they changed the rule because, they wanted to make more offense and make it more of a fun game for most people to watch. So where we are in this is the only way to get bad tackling and headhunting tackling out of it is to identify it. It's tough at times to see what intent, although there's some things, you're alluding to it, that looks clearly intent. Others look like, well, what are they supposed to do? Well, what you're supposed to do is not lead with the head. The reason why they're doing it is for one reason only. They're getting litigated against at all levels. The NFL is, if you don't get, they're losing it at all times. So they're trying to change it. So the only way is to sit them down, and a lot of people don't like it. People don't like it when it's their player on their team that gets penalized and thrown out, but they're okay with it when it affects their team. But that's the only way to do it. You got to be stringent. The only way to get rid of something in any level of football, I'll keep it there, is to make it punitive. Recruiting violations, on-field violations, there are a lot of things that are done. But ones that lead to problems in courts that you lose lawsuits, they pay attention to that. They like making money and holding on to as much of it as possible. Who doesn't?
Yeah. Do you think that we could change here's just my brainstorm that just came up into my head. So what if the targeting and all of that thing, that we're trying to get away from, could we make the rule that if the other player gets hurt, then you're out? Like if it's a head-to-head, helmet to helmet, if the other player gets knocked out of the game, then you're out of the game too, if you cause the injury.
I think, that actually has been discussed, but it becomes a difficult situation of how do you define hurt? They've kind of said, well, what do you deal with if a guy, if the elite safety comes up and hits a good receiver, but not the best receiver on your team, and you get hurt, you walk off the field hurt, and that means the other guy, it could be strategically used, like kind of faking injuries, and we ought to. So there's always a proactive look at it, and that they've come to the conclusion, at least in the NFL, is, look, if you lower your head for your safety and the safety of the opponent, that's targeting, and or they don't call it targeting in the NFL, but I think they've said, look, let's go ahead, and if you commit the act, whether the guy is injured or not, then and the possibility of making it more punitive is something that's on the move. But here's the thing about it is, it's very disingenuous in some degree. I don't know if you guys remember, but I don't know if you remember a couple of years ago, the Panthers and Cam Newton, they went to the Super Bowl.
Right.
Cam Newton have Tweety Birds, right? He was concussed, and they weren't going to pull him out of the NFC Championship game. And so you're dealing with a little bit of that. So they kind of it's tough. It's a violent game. We teach and preach violence. Now that we have a whole generation of players who are old and dying with CTE, and we've identified what CTE is. That's the game changer. That's what's changing it. Look, guys that were getting hammered with leather helmets, when they died, and we said, oh, boy, there was nothing. Well, he had CTE, he had a problem, now these guys we've got a whole generation of that. The movie Concussion, if you've seen it, all that. So, and to me, it's the guys that played in the 70s, which I watch fervently, and a lot of them have died. A lot of them have had CTE and other stuff, and they're now suing the league, and it's going down into colleges and all those things where they're worried about that. So they're making rules to protect the players, the health, but the underlying story behind that is we're protecting the players' health. That's true. But the unfinished is we'll protect the players' health, because if we don't, we're going to get sued, and we don't want that. And that's the sad and ugly truth.
No, I think that's all accurate, and that movie, when it came out, I think did kind of grab people's attention a little bit. I'm curious who's grabbed your attention as we are now in game week. What teams out there in the SEC, now that we've seen a couple of the polls come out, maybe don't get the same pub that you thought that they would have? In particular, I know we cover Tennessee, but Tennessee was not in the 2 top 25 polls. I thought that was a little bit surprising. Are there teams out there you think that are maybe a little bit better than they're being viewed right now?
Yeah, in general, if I could, and we talked a little bit about this last week, but just maybe to kind of phrase it a little differently. And here's what I would say about rankings, particularly preseason. Rankings are, I grade, and I do this at LandryFootball.com. I grade the teams. And then you got to grade them before you rank them. And I use the same when I evaluate coaches in my coaching search work, when I evaluate, in the draft, the works I do for teams in the draft. You have to grade them. And so here's my point with this. So, I talked about you've got, 2 teams, and then a little bit of a drop-off, and the 3rd team in Georgia, then a big drop-off to the 4th team. And then, so what you have happening is you can take team 12 and 38 and flip around. So, yeah, you could take Tennessee and 10 other teams, move them into the top 25 and take, 10 or 11 out and move them out, and they're all the same team. There's no difference. So, in other words, this belief that a team that's ranked 15th and the team that's ranked 28, oh, man, a lot better. No, there's not. There's no difference.
Why do we even do it?
Because it's talking point. Because we're talking about, why is Tennessee not in? Should they be in? It's a talking point. It has no validity whatsoever in terms of real grading. So, yeah, I mean, to answer your question, I think Arkansas is good. I think Kentucky's good. They tend to be a little underrated overall, but I think and again, if you're looking at Tennessee, do I think they're maybe a smidge better than teams in the top 25? I do, but not enough to argue about, because what are we arguing? It doesn't matter. You take care of business on the field, and, it's like the whole people, well, we don't get any respect. You don't give respect. You earn it. Go and do it. Tennessee's fine. Tennessee, you could rank Tennessee 15th or 50th. Doesn't matter. They're going to earn their way into whatever position that it is. Now, there is some belief, and there may be something to this. So I'm going to counter my argument with this. There is some belief that, well, you got to have a starting point. And the playoff committee is going to kind of look at teams that, all right, so if you start to win, they may look at kind of, well, they were ranked here and they're moving up. Well, that's not doing their job if they're doing it, because everybody should have a blank slate.
They should have a blank slate every Sunday to some extent.
Yeah. But if you lost the past 3 weeks, you can't discount the fact that you lost 3 weeks. And if you start to play well and you're 3-3, overall. But you're right. You should look at it.
I guess my point is it should be volatile. Okay, like on your own personal list, and then the numbers will weigh it out because there are several voters. So, like on my list, I would sit down and I don't want to do this, but I would sit down on a Sunday morning and say, who do I think the best college football team is right now? And then I would go second and third and fourth, and that could be way different than a week before, Chris. That's the way I think it should be done. But I think you're right in that people graduate them up and don't really look at all the games. That's why, to Amanda's point, I do think it matters to some extent because not Tennessee per se, but a Cincinnati last year that had to climb its way up.
But they did. Give
They
credit to the committee that they did it, and that's a proof that you start wherever, you earn it, you can be there. But you worry a little bit about, and this is where the committee's different, but this is why, to Amanda's question and point is, look, the rankings don't matter, but it is what people have been ingrained to think about until the playoff committee has a ranking. And look, the one thing about the playoff committee, which I don't agree with a lot of what they do, wait until the middle of October where there's some games. Because when people say, well, who's your top 10? Don't have one. Because they haven't played yet. I can tell you who I think's the most talented, but that doesn't mean that they're the best team. You know, I mean, because I think Alabama might be the best team and might likely win it all. If they don't play like it, then I'll put them wherever they belong in my eyes. But I can't grade off of, of how they're going to be this season until they play this season. But that is all. Look, this is all of what we're doing here. It's all of, the question. It's what everybody talks about. Who's going to win it? Who's the under? You get that at a bunch. And I play along with it too. But the reality is, I get this a lot. Who's your surprise team? If I knew, it wouldn't be a surprise. I just tell you, this is just a really good, you know what I mean? So, yeah, Utah's good, but they're ranked, So, yeah, that I think that's what's fun is who's going to end up being a little bit better than I thought. I thought Cincinnati was going to be good last year. I didn't think they were going to be good enough to make the playoffs, But, there was a little bit of a spot, and I thought Michigan would be better. I didn't think they were going to make the playoffs. So you're going to have some prizes. I think that's kind of fun. That's the beauty of because there's not a whole lot of surprises in college football. Maybe on a given week, but it is chalky as anything. I mean, we know who's going to be in the playoffs with pretty much certainty, and there's not much surprises when it comes to college football in the modern era and historically.
So my thing about the preseason rankings is they come out with this list and then they base their opinions on teams on that list, saying, okay, well, you played at the time, this team was in the top 10. And that factors in, even though if that team is in the top 10 and they end up having a 6-6, season, but they were in the top 10 in week 1 and a team played them, and that goes, they played this team and they played 5 teams in the top 10. Even if those teams don't end up being good, they still give that respect to those teams and say, well, look at how great they did. They played 5 teams when they were ranked in the top 10, even if 3 of them end up 6-6.
Yeah,
I don't see how that
you're right.
I don't get it.
Yeah, and you got to look at how a team continues to evolve during the course of the season. I'm telling you, you're not the same team every week. People think they're the same because, well, if you kick somebody's rear end by 20 points for 5 weeks in a row, well, they're consistent. Well, no, because you're beating different teams, different styles, and you play differently, and I think you have to factor all of that in. And so somebody that's ranked, Florida State comes to mind. Remember when Alabama played Florida State? Had the injury. Alabama beat them. Florida State was top 5?
3. They were third.
3.
They ranked
top
third.
5. They were they didn't even have a winning record that year. They weren't even top 50 by the end of the year. So what does that really mean? Well, you can make the case. Well, they were good at 3. You don't know whether they were good or not. They beat them. That's all you can do. You have to look at it. College football is unique. Schedules are so important. We don't have 32 teams like the NFL. We got a lot of teams. So you have to study everybody. So it's not just, who the teams are. And this is my pet peeve. Well, I'm just looking at the top 10. Well, how the hell do you know, pardon my French, if you don't study the other teams that they're playing?
Yeah.
So, here's the other thing that just irks me about the preseason polls. They will rank team X because they got a weak schedule. And I think they're going to easily win 10. So we're going to put them there. That doesn't mean that, like to David's point, that's not saying who's better. That's just schedule. I think those are all things that why folks take a chill pill, get some craft treats, take a chill pill on preseason rankings. It will play out. You will earn your way in if you're not in, and you're going to go quickly out if you're not. But I do think there's some bogus stuff. But it's just people guessing. And I grade them as the season goes along. And then when you grade them, then you rank them. And I think you put them in clusters like you do on the draft board. Then I think that starts to get a feel for it. Because then you can say, well, wait a minute. These 10 teams are pretty much even in terms of grade. Well, so when we're ranking a team that's three teams, and each of those 3 teams have played one of the 3 in that column, that gives you a pretty good indication of who they've played that's maybe a little bit easier. But when you look at it and say, well, they beat number 5, this team only beat number 15, well, that's a big difference. No, it's not, because 5 and 15 have a similar grade. That's the way I look at it. And I just use the draft board method because that's how we determine, well, this guy's a lot better, we're going to move up and get him, or these clusters are pretty much even, we're going to move down and get more of them. So that's how I do it. It's just, I just take it from a football standpoint, but the film tells me who's better over time, grading the film.
Chris Landry of LandryFootball.com. You mentioned Craft Treats. They bring you his appearance along with Steve Ray's Midnight Oil and Owl's Nest Barbecue. Owl's Nest Barbecue has all the rubs, the sauces you could possibly need, and it's got the wood pellets as well for those automated smokers like the Green Mountain Grill, so they have that. So check them out. Again, Owl's Nest Barbecue. So if I were to ask you the 3, and we've touched base on this before, but Amanda, unless you have anything else, I was going to close out with this. The 3 coaches most likely not to be at their current position in year 2. When we kicked this around, we talked about Saban's possible retirement, Lane Kiffin possibly bolting, but it seems like every time that Eli Drinkowitz opens his mouth, something stupid falls out. So I've got some curiosity there. Just your thoughts, and then I know Amanda has another. Go ahead.
You mean next season, Dave?
Yes, next season.
Not year 2, but just next season.
Yes, next season. 2022. Sorry. 2023. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think, we got to, obviously, for political reasons, and we'll see how the football season may end up being a little bit better than some people think. But, I think, the first guy that comes to mind is Brian Harsin because of, the political thing. And I think it's kind of early for Drinkwitz, but I think there's this belief because that is a tougher job than people think, because over there they tend to think, well, look, we've won 2 SEC East titles early, and they don't realize you don't do that at Missouri. It's a fluke that that the East was really weak, and Gary Pinkel did a good job. But Eli Drinkwitz he can't continue to lose a lot of games, and he's got to really show improvement in recruiting. But I think a lot of guys are kind of young. Now, the other guy I would put in the mix is, would Mark Stoops leave? He hasn't, but would he leave for the right job? So I think it's more of, look, I think there are guys that are going to be in trouble. Harsin could be in trouble. I think there are guys that are doing well that may not do so well down the road. But I think right now, I don't know that. I see guys potentially more bolting than getting knocked out. Now, with that said, last year at this time, if you're posing that question, there's no way I'm saying, you know what, I can see a scenario in which Dan Mullen's going to get let go at Florida. There's no way,
Right.
that it happened. So is there somebody there that has a calamity of problems that leads to that? It could, but again, it's kind of hard to forecast it now.
Yeah, very true. Chris, Chris Landry of LandryFootball.com. We will follow your work. A great website to learn more about football, be more learned than those around your water cooler. That's Chris Landry at LandryFootball.com. Thank you, Chris.
Thanks. Talk to you guys Thursday. Have a great one.
Hi, Chris.
Gary Vols, tell us about Vols Automotive Group.
It's Gary Viles here, Viles Automotive on Callahan Drive. I've been selling cars here in East Tennessee for 27 years. In that time, I've come to realize it's not about the car. It's about you, the customer. So I'm here to take care of you just like family. Good credit, bad credit, you name it, we can get you taken care of. If we don't have it, we can find it for you. We go across the country to get any vehicle that you want. And here at Viles Automotive, we don't believe in fake numbers. We just give you great deals. And as always, we want, we need, and we appreciate your business.
Do you want to own the more that owns every job? Then get to Vassy Lawn and Garden in Cleveland and get you a Toro. I'm David Vassy, here to talk to you about Toro. With a Toro Zero Turn, you'll get more out of every minute and you'll reach the finish line faster. At Vassy's, we like to say, no matter if you're mowing 3 acres a week or 11 lawns a day, homeowners and business owners alike find confidence in equipment they can trust from top to bottom.
Vassy Lawn and Garden, Highway 60 North in Cleveland.
Man alive, it's worth the drive.
This is Steve Rain. I own the Midnight Oil and Michelin Tire Direct service station here in Ottawa. It's not a fancy place, never has been, but it's a clean place with clean restrooms and good folks who work here. We sell gas and fix cars, nothing glamorous, but we love what we do, and we're going to keep doing it for a long time to come. There's not many real service stations left, and that's a shame. We're the guys just like the guys back in your hometown. We'll fix your tire, change your oil, and put a new set of Michelins on your car. If you want a Twinkie, you'll just have to keep on going. Thanks for the business.
Hi, Mike Davis here with City Heating and Air, reminding you to always dare to compare. Our team provides quality local heating and air service, installation, and maintenance across East Tennessee. We use only the best equipment like American Standard heating and air conditioning for your residential, new construction, or commercial needs. Honesty, dependability, and customer satisfaction have been the cornerstones of our business since 1961. City Heat and Air.
Dare to compare.
We're going to get to a couple of rules changes. Did I scare you, Amanda?
No, my hair scared me.
Your hair's what?
I look like Amy Winehouse.
You do a little bit with the bun on the top. You belt out a little tune real quick?
No, not unless everybody else wants to go to rehab.
No. All right. Coming up, we will have message board bingo, which is taking the world by storm. And it's just blowing people away this day in sports history, as well as it's almost game week. Well, it is for some teams. It'll be Vanderbilt and Hawaii, which will be Saturday, and then you really have game week that kicks in for Tennessee, which will be on Friday, because that would be the Sunday before a Thursday night game week. So it's pretty much here. This is not a great surprise, I don't think. Lynn J. Dixon not with the team anymore, as we'll get you caught up if you're just tuning in. Bru McCoy, no real news on him. A light walkthrough today for the Vols before back at practice tomorrow. But Bru McCoy is a guy who is just awaiting that appeal. Southern Cal has since said via a report by Outkick.com that they've done everything they need to do, but we don't know when they did it. Amanda, did they drag
Probably on Saturday night.
Yeah, probably the day they were called about.
They're like, oh,
yeah, it's the Freedom of Information Act. They were like, oh yeah, we need to do that, and then we'll tell them we did it.
Yeah,
so,
they're like, oh crap, let me sign that on Monday morning.
Yeah, I know they got people pretty wild and excited, Amanda, but at the end of the day, I mean, that doesn't mean the damage wasn't done by delaying it, if they did. And I'm not saying they did, but if they did, should Tennessee fans even be upset? I mean, let's be honest here.
Yeah.
Well, yes and no, but let me play the other side. If you had a guy that came to your school and was all about being a part of your football team, but left after a couple of weeks to check out Texas and then came back and you welcomed him back and then left again, that's not the type of the guy. That's not the type of guy you would bend over backwards to help.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. This isn't even about the guy at this point. Like,
I agree.
It's not about him as a player or what have you. The problem is that USC. This is screw the player. This is as a university, as an athletic program, as a football program. What are you doing? Like, why are you doing this? This is something that you just don't do this. Like, if a player leaves and you want him to leave and that's, everybody's fine with him leaving, then you sign the thing that releases him. If it doesn't matter if he is your number one quarterback of all time that you recruited and yada, yada, yada. It doesn't matter if that's the player or if it's a scrub that is a walk-on or whatever. If he's leaving, let him leave.
I agree with you philosophically. I think, though, that people can be vindictive.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
that's the problem.
I think that can sit on the corner of your desk for what could turn into weeks when it should have been a couple hours.
Well, yeah, and that's the issue. That's what, that is what I think people should be upset about. Is it has nothing to do with the player. It's why USC are you being like this for no reason whatsoever? Like, why do this? You're just pissing off everybody else.
Well, let's don't forget this too. Now, I know he wasn't his coach, but Lincoln Riley is not, and the Stoops clan and that whole lineage of Oklahoma coaches are not big SEC fans. I've wondered in the back of my mind if that could be a factor from the game.
That's the thing, is that it seems like, I mean, honestly, it really seems like they're doing it just to do it, just to be spiteful. I mean, that's not something that you want. I mean, that's high school level. Are we mean girls? Like, what are we doing here? Like, be adults. Let the kid go wherever he's going to go. Don't be the policing of, people transferring. It's not your job. You let him go. If this is all true and if they're the problem, then you're just asking for it. Like, you're just being vindictive children. You're just asking for it. For some SEC team to come up there and stomp you into the ground.
Yeah, I agree. And something you don't want to stomp into the ground are honeybees. And you certainly don't want to stomp into the ground great
Isn't your best
coffee beans. You're a great human being. Tell us about Honeybee, that provides the absolute best coffee in the biz, and you can order it online or you can pick it up in their Knoxville locations.
I mean, like you said, without the puns, it's really good coffee, really good beans.
They weren't punny.
They were very awful, but I mean, just it's really good all the way around. I'm very big advocate for supporting small business, especially local business. And so if you want great coffee and you don't want to pay $8 at Starbucks because it's gone up just ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I'm not even going to lie. So the last time I went to Starbucks, the coffee I used to get was $3.22. It is now, the last time I went was like a month ago or something, a couple of months ago. It is now like $5.50, and it's just for a coffee. It's just coffee. That's all it is. There's no like hidden, caramel crunch, whatever. It's just a coffee. It's a nice coffee, and that's it. But so that's why I like Honeybee. If I'm going to support somebody, if I'm going to throw a bunch of money at coffee, I'm going to throw it at somebody local. Just FYI.
Yep. And it's more affordable and the top 5% of the coffee beans in the world. That's pretty strong. Honeybee coffee is the bean on the products. So, Amanda LaFrada, are we ready for message board bingo? Because it's an opportunity for, I'm nervous. I'm scared. It's an opportunity for our listeners that are on board to take part as well. If you can beat me at message board bingo, if you can type in the answer before I do, then we will hook you up with a prize. And you probably will win because I'm not very good at it.
Yes, you will. So let's go back before we do message board bingo.
Yes.
So you asked about Amazon and how that came about. And so this is Amazon getting Thursday night. So the way it came about was back in March of 2021, this is reported, that Viacom, CBS, that's something, Fox and Comcast, which owns NBC Universal, are paying more than $2 billion per year for their packages. Disney was paying around $2.7 billion annually per year for like all the football, whatever. Amazon is paying $1 billion a year just for Thursday night games.
Yeah.
That's how it happens. And they have plenty more to throw around. So I wouldn't be surprised if they go after SEC.
No, I mean, I don't know how deep their pockets are, but it's
deep.
It'd be stunning to have a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday night game, Monday night game brought to you by Amazon. No,
it wouldn't be stunning. I really think that that's a very likely scenario. I know that the SEC is under contract with ESPN at the moment, but they will have to get their restructured. And if they want to, Amazon could be like, all right, well, this contract, here you go.
I guess it was CBS that had the best thing going in terms of a relationship with the NFL and college football at the same time, right?
Yeah,
probably.
CBS and Fox.
Because they had the premiere game on on Sunday afternoon, and then they had the premiere game on Saturday afternoon with SEC. Fox's timing was a little bit different coming up in the late 80s and early 90s. Their relationship with college football, I think, is really just beginning. That is a compliment. They've already done it for a while now with Big Ten Network, but I think they're continuing to grow. So, if anybody could pull it off, I would guess maybe it would be the Fox relationship. But in the end, if you could go to one place and streamline all this, and think about that from Amazon's perspective, if they can streamline all of this to a couple of studios instead of 18 studios across the nation, then their $1 billion might just go $1 billion to the networks and not as much to have to provide their own stuffs. So that could be a big factor as well.
It could be.
Amazon, can you imagine that? Amazon from Thursday night to Sunday or to Monday evening.
Yeah, I can imagine it.
I don't think it's and I will tell you this, as much as I love the streaming and all of that stuff, let's face it, good morning to you, Culture Shock from Jackson, Mississippi. I will be honest with you, it is sometimes difficult just to find the show you want to watch with those way streaming set up. Do I sound like Clint Eastwood and Gran Torino, Get Off My Lawn?
A little bit. I don't think it's difficult to find the show you want to watch. All you have to do is type it in.
It's not for me either. I just have to call my son. All right, so let's go to message board bingo. Message board bingo is now. And here's the way this works. That Ava and I will try to determine who is on Amanda's list of message board bingo. So she will read off a comment on a particular poster board, a message board, a website, a placard. And so then at that point, she will ask me if I can tell you exactly what team's message board that came from. I'm not very good at it. I'm the first to admit that. and you could win a Hooker t-shirt if you top it in before me. I'm just going to go ahead and tell you that. It's not one of my strengths, as Amanda's still struggling to find a strength. All right, message board bingo. First to 3, are we ready to go?
We're ready to go. Ava is upset because someone is walking on her street. So just FYI.
Give her a crack treat.
All right. Nuclear bomb has been set. From my understanding from someone directly involved with that program, Ewers has been an entitled, lazy POS that has the arm of a god, but is way behind on the mental aspect of the game and has serious work ethic issues. He's not popular in the locker at all, and Card very much is. Everyone, and I mean everyone,
Who very much is?
Card.
Okay.
Everyone, and I mean everyone, thought Card was clearly the better player at this point in their careers. I'm not going to say it is a fact, but it sure seems like the decision was made long ago and is completely out of Sark's hands.
I'm going to say that's a fan from Texas A&M talking about Texas.
Yep.
Whoa! 1-0. Take some of that.
Yep, that is
Get
it.
better. That's what you need. It's a really cocky day.
Yeah, that's what we need.
All right, part 2.
All right. So the program simply cannot survive without my contributions, and sometimes the coaches have to be reminded. You're welcome. And I'll read another one. All right. The program simply cannot survive without my contributions, and sometimes the coaches have to be reminded. You are welcome. College NIL deals are a risk-reward for whoever offers it. Remember, NIL deals are driven by ego and desire for access. It's a bet at best. End of the day, you are a friend of the program, and that's what most of those providers want. There will always be another Ewers that someone will make a similar bet to be Mr. Inside. And word from the staff, this is exactly what happened.
Okay, so I think they're referring to Miles Brennan leaving. All right. The quarterback at LSU up and leaving.
I'm not giving you who they're referring to.
Oh, okay. I think that's who they're referring to. So I'm going to go Texas A&M again for the double whammy.
No, I said viewers in the statement. It's Texas.
Oh, Ewers. I misunderstood you. Sorry. Okay. All right. 1-1. That's pretty good for Dave.
All right. If you don't get this one, it's just I can't help you. Yeah. All I have to say is that if we were a reasonable, rational, and calm fan base, our head coach would be Greg Schiano. There are times when it pays to be a little bit crazy.
Tennessee.
Yep.
2-1, feeling pretty cocky about myself.
So 2 of them are giveaways, and 1 of them you missed. So.
The first one wasn't that easy.
You got the first one, but you missed the second one.
Hard on that one.
No, the first one was good. I said 2 were giveaways, and 1 of them you missed. So.
Okay. All right, let's get to this day in sports history. It is now. And it's brought to you by our friend at Bassey Lawn and Garden, David Bassey.
Not with that music.
What's that?
Not with that music.
Not with that music. I knew the music would go away. David Bassey Lawn and Garden, man alive, it's worth the drive. They've got the commercial and residential zero-turn mowers, lawn tractors. They've got it all up to 48 months, 3.9% for 60 months. They offer on-the-spot financing. Bassey Lawn and Garden, man alive. It is worth the drive. This day in sports history is now.
This day in sports history. Putting things in perspective, exclusively on Off the Hook Sports with Dave Hooker.
You're so old. When you were a kid, rainbows were black and white.
And Amanda LaFrada.
2 kids on the block just called. They wanted you as a backup dancer.
All righty, Amanda LaFrada, this day in sports history. What do we got?
All right, so I have 2, and one's good, one's not. So in 1989, Nolan Ryan strikes out his 5,000th batter.
Amazing.
Good Lord.
These kind of numbers that we just won't see anymore. It's just not going to happen because pitchers don't pitch enough, which I understand. So 5,000, right?
5,000.
A lot. Okay, go right ahead.
All right. And in 1994, DNA testing links O.J. Simpson to murder of Nicole Simpson and Ron Goldman, even though he got off.
Yeah, so that DNA thing, that was kind of a big deal.
A little bit.
Kind of made it harder to get away with stuff, didn't it?
Well, you think.
Yeah, there's that whole.
If the glove doesn't fit, you must acquit. So.
Yeah, my nights. So probably part of the reason I have insomnia is my wife loves the murder shows, and so like at about 4 a.m. I hear about some dude who's 65 years old getting carted off to jail because he did it, and they've got the DNA to prove it now, but they didn't at the time. That happens all the time.
Yeah, I watch. Well, I don't watch the murder shows, but if you ever do decide to watch the murder shows and you want the fear of God put in you, watch the show called Snapped, and it's literally about wives or girlfriends just losing their mind on their husbands and just killing them.
Closest you've been to killing a significant other is?
So I haven't been close to killing one. I've wanted to kill one, like to the point where you're just laying there and they're asleep and they're snoring. And you just think, like, I could take this pillow and I could just end it.
Well, that's horrific.
That's not horrific. I guarantee you every woman has thought that.
I think my wife's thought that.
I bet she has. I bet you money there's been many a time she'd like to kill you.
Say that with such conviction. It scares me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that's the case. Maybe I'll have a frank conversation here after the show.
The thing is that's how you know that you either don't want to go to jail, it's not worth it, or that you really love someone, is when you have the opportunity to kill them and you don't do it.
See, I always looked at it a little bit differently. Maybe I'm crazy, but I looked at it as if you valued someone else's life over yours, then you truly love them.
Well, yeah, obviously that, but I'm saying if you want to kill someone and you can get away with it and you know how to dispose of the body, okay, it's in the ocean, then you would, and you don't do it, then you really probably care about them. So.
Section scares me a little bit. All right, so it is game week, as I guess it's week 0, but that counts for certainly something. And
Vandy in Hawaii is what it counts for.
Yeah, Vandy in Hawaii. That's about it. Mm-hmm. And I tell you what, the other thing it counts for is this Little League World Series here. Man, does that do anything for you?
I think if it did, you would call me something else.
Maybe. But I don't understand the Little League World Series, how that gets so much excitement around it.
Well, some of them end up going to the MLB and being big-time players. So it's kind of cool to look back.
It's like 1 in 10,000. I mean,
yeah, I saw – it's less than that, I think. But I saw one that was like favorite actress or something. Did you see that?
No, I saw the kid being a kid. Now this is a couple weeks ago, but he accidentally hit a kid in the head, and so the kid goes down to first base, and the pitcher's crying. Did you see that?
Yes.
Yeah, and I don't know. I mean, call me crazy, but shoving a camera in the face of a kid who's crying for ratings just doesn't seem like the way to go.
I mean, No, but you got to do something to save it. I mean, you're getting nothing right now.
Was
I
that
mean, we're
kid
in
soft?
August.
Was that kid soft that cried on the mound?
Was he soft for crying?
Yeah, for hitting a kid in the head. I've seen a kid get hit.
I don't know if he was really crying because he hit the kid in the head and he hurt the kid, or he felt like he might have hurt the kid, or if he was crying because he hit the kid in the head and he got to first base.
Oh, so you just think he was just crying over the base?
He might have been crying that he gave up a base.
Well, they exchanged a little hug. Maybe he said something to the effect of, "If I would have just killed you, you wouldn't be on first base."
No, because that's nationally televised. Don't kill someone on national television.
Well, I don't like that. It is my least favorite televised sport in the League World Series.
I think it's cool. I mean, I think it's cool to be.
Earlier, you didn't say it was that cool.
No, I just said it's not great to watch, but I think it's cool for the kid. Like, you're 12 and you're on ESPN. I mean, I think that's cool. You know, hey, I'm on ESPN. Check me out. You know, whatever. But the one kid had like an actress name or whatever, and it was like
Oh, is an adult actress star?
Apparently.
Can you say her name?
I don't know I don't know who it was, but it was like this kid's movie choices. Somebody tweeted it out. So maybe they put like her name over, like photoshopped it in or whatever. That's possible, but I was just like, wow.
Okay. Yeah, so a little leaguer did indeed. Wait, this is going back to 2018.
Okay, so maybe that's it.
What I'm seeing is he did listed. I'm not familiar with this man's work. Johnny Sins as his favorite actor.
No, it was somebody this year. It was somebody like it was a girl.
Yeah, we're gonna have to do some more research.
I'll do some recon on that.
I can't go any further than Johnny Sins. That's what I got for 2018. I don't have much more than that. Johnny Sins, I'm sure, has cleaned up his life by now. It's been 5 years.
I don't know who that is.
I don't either. But I'm sure he's done a great job of turning himself around. There's no question in my mind. So, Off the Hook Sports, today we will have the latest from Tennessee's practice. Not a lot going on. It's a very light day, but we will have interviews with Jacob Warren, who should be a good guy to talk to. And as this offense continues to gel, and also Cooper Mays, we will have interviews that we got yesterday with Jabari Davis, former Vol, and also Latrell Bumpus, who was nice enough to join us. And, you know, Latrell is a guy who this is kind of it for him. He's suffered an awful lot of injuries. So is he able to right the ship and have a strong end to his career? You certainly hope so. You would hate for nagging injuries to get in the way. But, you know, this Tennessee football team, the 800-pound elephant in the corner still is Bru McCoy. And with each day that passes, Amanda, you can go and do, people want to fake videos about whether or not he's eligible. But with each day that passes, the more difficult it is for him to have a major impact in the opener on a week from Thursday night. That's going to be incredibly difficult if he doesn't get to be a big part of the game plan. But
yeah, so if you're a Tennessee fan, you can just hit up that, you know, sports information directory at USC. And
hey, that's not.
I'm kidding. Don't do that. Don't do that. Please don't do that.
It's not the worst idea.
No, it is the worst idea. Don't do that. You seem insane if you do that.
Yeah, give you a little taste of what Tennessee fans are all about. So tomorrow on the program, we have a brand new addition to the staff we're looking forward to. I want to take a second here, if I may, and if you would indulge me. With all that we're doing in Off the Hook Sports, I cannot begin to say but thank you and how appreciative I am of one Amanda LaFrada, who does way more behind the scenes than you could ever imagine, but does an incredible job on the scene as well. So I'm very, very blessed, and I want to say thank you as big things continue to happen. It wouldn't be without Amanda LaFrada. I'm Dave Hooker. Have a fantastic day, everyone. This is a presentation of all.